Meeting. For this meeting, seek knowledge for understanding, have purpose in all that you do, stand tall, be strong, and let us show respect for each other. Thank you. Now, calling for apologies. We've got any apologies?
Sorry, I haven't heard from Council.
Okay. Other apologies? Can we have it removed? There are no apologies. Move. Thank you, Colin. Second. Now, declarations of interest. I would like to call for the declarations of interest agendas. Yep. No declarations. And now this public forum, we've got a couple of presentations. Well, one at this stage. They'll get 5 minutes to speak, and councillors are allowed to ask questions, but only for clarification. So we don't make any decisions or debate at this stage. So I'd ask Alex to come. Presentation.
And please hold questions until after Alex has spoken.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to my submission about this area up of the Cobner Bridge Greymouth. My name is Alex Woods. I was raised and lived in Murray Street, Greymouth. I'm very passionate about Greymouth and it going well. This area up from the Cobner Bridge Greymouth, in my opinion, has been let go and is a mess. And at the entrance to our town, the area was a natural recreation area before all this happened. Whitebaiting, motorbikes, canoeing, the floodplain streams, trailer loads of river silt for the front door. The area was a jet boat sprint course. We have continually been told all parties are happy and the area is compliant. In my opinion, the area is not compliant. The clean fill dump in an active riverbed should have never been allowed. Construction waste has been mixed in with clean fill, asbestos pipe, tar seal, reinforcing steel sticks out of dumped concrete. All the streams have been filled in. The clean fill dump has restricted access along the riverbed. Where is the boundary between Lynn's, Crown, lease and public access? Would you consider no more dumping? Clean up the area, designated public access. We do not want to be told in the future that the Grey District Council inherited this problem. Continue to be passed from one council to another. Both councils are denying responsibility. What lies ahead? Could it be arrive at the Grey District Council with issues about this area to be told it was not us, nothing to do with us, we just inherited the problem? Made up some small notes. Lynn's administration contractors, APL, then Colliers International, did no on-site annual checks and told me all this dumping issues are the responsibility of a regional council. Lynn's took back the administrations. I doubt Lynn's ever did audits and never should have allowed a clean fill dump on public land in a riverbed. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you
Thank you, Alex.
today. This area.
Councillors want points of clarification. Thanks, Alex. Thank you. Any questions for clarification?
I'd just like to thank Alex for being another member of the public who's brought this issue to our attention. It is a concern. The room for the river's philosophy has been strangled in this particular location. And we've got the adjacent Greymouth Joint Floodwall Committee, and it's over part of this area now with the amalgamation of the Coal Creek Grading District. And yeah, it's very adverse and contrary to no adverse effects. There is some, and they're presently visible to be seen. The evidence of it too is no doubt the last flood we had of 4,710 cubics at Dobson, but Wingham Park had the highest flood level I've had since 1988. So what's changed? It's deflection over to the true right bank, tips over to come to the Cobden Gap, and then it tips over into the Wingham Park Basin. That's why it filled up, in my opinion. So we'll let the experts sort that out in due course.
Thank you, Councillor.
Just add one point to the West Coast Regional Council around about October, November and 21 to ask for regional council support to gain an affordable clean fill construction waste landfill. And the CEO at the time replied that it was to go on the agenda to be talked to the three areas of the three district areas. And I'm not privy to understand how the flow and budgets and where the money will come to construct an affordable cell for this type of material. I only witnessed in the cleaning. But this hasn't happened in time. This has always been quite a challenge for those in doing certain work, excavation work that will remove materials, contaminated materials, construction waste, which is quite a lot heavier than a rubbish bag. And that's what the community we talk about within the district is if you roll out, example, a tandem trailer with a load of soil with something in it, you need a mortgage to take it out to dump your rubbish. So the sooner that happens, the better for all of us. And so we're not just crackling on about what we're saying is it can't be done. We're finding a solution to avoid it happening.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, can I? Yes, good morning. My name is Darryl. I'm the Chief Executive. Thank you very much for your submission this morning. We have that document from you that we read out this morning. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, you're going to
Thank you. Look, can I just say on behalf of the staff, what we'll undertake to do for you is pick up all the points that you've raised in this representation this morning, and thank you for that. And we'll write to you with either answering some of the points that you raise here, or telling you what we've got going on at the moment to investigate some of these things. And we'll undertake to keep you informed on an ongoing basis as we develop that. And if we could take that into the action list, Meryl, thank you. And that's and Matt and his team will do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And also, like I said, to I'm sure many in the community would be keen to see some ways ahead. Yeah, not just me. It's quite a challenge for our districts. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I understand with no items of late items, so we're going to move on to the next part, which is confirmation of the minutes. Everyone's had a chance to read the minutes, and adjourn. Dealing with the minutes, we're already went at the meeting from December 2021 were approved. Record.
Happy to move that.
And Ashley, thank you. Any items that are rising from those minutes? One of the actions list for numbers, number 7. Page 10 of your minutes. The recommendation, the action list is the back. It's recommended that the committee resolve to receive the report and the information noted. Do we want to have a look at any of the action list?
2 and 3 are complete, so just an update on action 1.
Yeah, so we've got a draft bylaw done. We're just going through some of the finer details regarding setbacks from structures, and we hope to get their consultation and keep it moving as soon as we can.
Yeah, although could I just say, I want to workshop that with councillors first. And then we've got to consult as under the Local Government Act, because it is a bylaw. So workshop the councillors first, get you across what it means and what it says and what we're proposing, and then formal consultation. Thanks.
Thank you.
Through the chair, Matt's number 2, in lieu of a workshop with the mining industry around the consenting stuff. Was that because they chose not to take up the option, or?
It was decided it was the most easiest way to an efficient way to get their information out, and trying to get a workshop sorted was proving to be quite a challenge.
Thank you. Roughly how many?
I couldn't tell you.
Significant number, like a regional representation.
Well, it'll be anyone that has submitted an application in recent times. So.
Second, that the committee resolved to receive the report and that information.
With that.
Right.
Excuse me, I just got a question on the report. Have you got a number of the gold mining resource consent applications that are outstanding?
We have a list of those. I don't have.
Just the number, thanks.
I don't have the.
Are you able to provide
Yeah, certainly. So you want the number of gold mining consents
that? Consent applications
that are being processed?
That are being in the process of being processed. Applications being processed.
Is that overdue or current? Is that overdue or current, you mean?
Total applications in the process.
I actually thought that item 9.3 is summarised them under the consent report.
Whereabouts?
Page 39. 9.3. They've come to it yet, but
reports done.
Just
Page 31.
page 39. Yeah, it's got a summary of decisions granted, applications lost, etc. Like that.
I think what we're asking for.
Yeah, but if you have a little look through them, you can sort out which ones are the mining ones and which ones are the bread and butter ones. Like we squeezed through them, and I saw that, say for example, on page 42, 3 or 4 mining ones there, for example. Lost one in Ross, some. You can actually which ones are mining ones, which ones are.
This doesn't tie up with the figures we given last year of something like 130 outstanding.
Yeah, so that's a summary of the applications granted and the applications received during the reporting period. But yeah, there will be some outstanding on the list, and I can provide that.
Right.
Thank you.
So that's an action, thanks.
So the action reads that a list of them. Right, yeah. Chair's report. It's recommended that the committee receive the chair's report as a verbal report.
That's you.
Oh, there's no verbal report.
Is not good. Yeah, okay. I'll move that my verbal report that isn't there, be accepted. Yeah,
That's very nice.
okay, now Shanti, we've got a environmental science quarterly report. It's recommended the council resolve to receive the report. Can I have a move and a second of it? Discussion.
Jackie.
Thank you, Matthew. Open for discussion.
We'll probably go to Shanti just to introduce the report. First, thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. So I presented the report slightly differently this quarter to try and focus on the things that council has identified as priority, being quality delivery of work, community trust and engagement, partnership-led outcomes and innovation for efficiency for the ratepayer fund. So hopefully you've noticed that throughout the report. Some things that I just thought I'd highlight is the amount of work that the team's getting done this summer. It's been a huge summer for the staff, so just want to really highlight how busy they've been with contact wreck monitoring, but also the partnerships work that we've done regarding the freshwater microbial research program that focused on E. coli detection monitoring results both in Sawyers Creek and Arahura River, and you'll note that that study picked up quite high results in Sawyers Creek, which we've known for some time. And we're just working closely with the compliance team on working out how to manage that in association with them. Whereas Arahura, you'll see the coli results are really low. Just highlighting some work around Lake Canary as well, with an update on how that's going, which Jackie's been involved in quite a bit. And some work down at Waimea Creek. Some interesting preliminary findings that finding that aluminium in that area is likely to be natural causes. So that's good there. It was looking into effects of aluminium-based flocculant. Some work going on in wetlands as well, just checking those boundaries of our Schedule 1 and 2 wetlands as part of our responsibilities against the NPS-FM. Highlighted some implications and risks, but none of real concern. We are mitigating those for you. Happy to take any questions on the report.
Through the chair, just on the E. coli results, is that all determined on river flow? Is that like very much with river flow?
So they do flow corrections as well when they're testing that. So it is variable. When we get high rainfall, is that sort of what you're referencing? Yeah. So you'll see in our contact wreck monitoring, we've put rainfall in the table. So that's
so does it dilute it quite a lot?
Usually makes it worse because of runoff. So we generally say that if there's been high rainfall within 24 hours or even 7 days to avoid swimming. You'll see that, Orawaiti Lagoon, 86 millimetres. Less rain, 54 mils. Again, high, but not as high as when we had.
I get it now because it's the runoff, it's not the dilution.
It is.
Yep.
Can I just make a comment here? So generally speaking, in the rural catchments, E. coli spikes on weather events, with runoff off the paddocks, those sorts of things. However, I just wanted to differentiate that with what's going on in Sawyers Creek, because Sawyers Creek is not rainfall related. It's what's going on in Sawyers Creek, and it's being acknowledged, and it's in the next papers from around the wastewater. Sawyers Creek is the subject of significant numbers of cross connections of sewage into the stormwater system and out into the creek.
It's really the same at Mars Beach too, isn't it? Because the limit's 540, but and any sort of storm event, you've got
Exactly, yeah, and you'll see that in Sawyers Creek as well. And then the next step is doing the tracking. So is it human, ruminant, or wildfowl? And you'll see on page 21, those Sawyers Creek results show that a lot of that is human based E. coli, and they did detect
other sort of pathogens associated with humans as well. And that's it.
Are they going to get hooked up to the sewage system?
We've got a paper on that that's on the agenda. How about we, can I suggest we leave it to that paper? Thanks.
You're never gonna get, creeks coming out of the urban areas clean. There's just no way in the whole country. Those creeks coming out of the cities and build up areas are always gonna have all sorts of contamination. You're never ever gonna be drinkable. And most of them are the overflow when the sewage system gets overloaded.
Shanti, any other discussion from Shanti's report?
No.
I'd just like to thank Shanti and her team. It was a very, very comprehensive report, very interesting report and very informative. So thank you for your efforts.
Report. So,
Kia ora.
and the second, so.
Chairman. Yes, Shanti and your team, I was very impressed with your report. Really, I'd like to call our chairman, Colin Smith's views on that. Keep up the good work.
Okay. I have a moving or a second and that Shanti's quarterly report be received.
Yeah.
Ashley, thank you.
Alan.
Helen, thank you. Next item on the list is hydrology quarterly. Again.
Provide a summary of the report. So again, a little change from past quarterly reports. I've split out hydrology from environmental quality just because there is so much working going on, and the team have a lot to offer. I've structured this again the same way: quality delivery, community trust engagement, partnerships, and then innovations. In the delivery space, huge health and safety focus. This team, it does deliver high risk, but just giving you some confidence as councillors that is being managed. And it is a priority for that hydrology team. We did have 2 reasonably large flood events in the period. We reported on those separately, but just providing information on how we've built engagement through those flood events. A little bit on environmental flows. Quite often in the summer periods, we have some droughts, and so we're paying attention to those as well. We haven't really had any issues this summer. Last summer, we had some pretty low flows. I think we had some of the lowest flows in 10 years last year, whereas this year they're pretty stable. We've had a reasonably wet summer, unfortunately. Partnership-led outcomes. There's some really good work going on with CDM. So we've now got cameras on the Waiho, which is great. So those will be uploaded into the website within the next couple of months, and you'll be able to see a live feed of the Waiho, with the intention of putting about 15 cameras across the network, which can also help the compliance team with having a look at what's happening with flows as well. So a bit of a dual use there. Some collaborations with regional councils in our flood warning system. This will help us model floods better and cost us less money because of the integration with neighbouring councils. And they're always doing innovations in this team, a bit of dashboard work as well. So to improve our flood response, we're getting all of that information onto one dashboard. So the CDM team can have a look at something and go, yeah, this is what the rivers are doing, and know where our teams are from the field. Again, same structure, implications and risk listed there for you, and happy to take questions on the report.
I've got one question. Have you had any feedback on the damage to the Takua water reporter?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
don't know who did it, or
Vandalised.
but we're still able to get reportings from the Leeway one. Is that right?
No, nothing yet. Just check the trees of it now.
And number 2 was the Hakanui rain gauge at not functioning. Was the one on the Bucklands?
To go back to the other one through the chair, that was vandalised, wasn't it?
The Bullet Takuha one?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. It was stolen,
Yeah.
that equipment.
Crazy.
Yeah, so we put out a bit of a mid-year release,
Police handling it?
highlighting it.
I just wonder if the police probably don't take these things seriously enough, because in my opinion, is that something like that can actually risk life and limb if we've got say Niwa one out as well, because
Yeah.
at the moment we've only got
We've got a
one or
redundancy
two
with
going.
it. Yeah.
There's only no redundancy apart from the
Yeah.
Niwa one. So if we had to make a decision, the civil defence had to make a decision about evacuations and weren't able to because of say people being down, that could actually cause loss of life or serious harm to community. That I think the police need to be on board with that. You know, treat this really seriously, almost like next sort of like minority, just sort of nice damage to which cancer structures really important. I think we're thinking camera out there one day for being able to look across the river and from the other side. So you had a bit of redundancy with remember when we had that field
Yeah.
walk around?
Yeah.
So you could sort of see what the water level recorder was. You quite useful adjunct as the camera might pick somebody up who damaged it.
Yeah, I'll check in with Samuel and check the police response on that.
Yeah. Just think it needs to be emphasised. Andy?
Where's the rain gauge on the Waihau? Is there one?
We do have one at State Highway Bridge, which is a lowland, but it doesn't provide us any sort of analysis because it's a lowland, but they are looking at putting two in sort of a higher area. And we are having some comms issues, but they are looking at being installed. And we're getting one in the Wanganui as well. That should be the next one to go on, an alpine rain gauge there, which will be good for Hare Hare, understanding what's happening there.
Because it is good to know, like you see the big flood in the river, but it's good to know what's coming.
Exactly, yeah. Really short catchments, so it happens very quickly.
Thank you.
Shanti, I just wanted to acknowledge the work you're doing with South Western Area School around with that citizen science stuff, and nice to see it's reaching out to Western and Grey High School going forward to sort of spread it across the coast. So,
Cool.
the team in that space.
Yeah, that's led by a hydro manager, but it is a collaboration between all of the science teams. We're sort of getting together to try and do some more STEM work with kids, which I think is a really good initiative.
And I assume the wider basis of schools that currently will, as it rolls forward.
Yeah, we'll just sort of engage with those that are proactive in that space, and then we'll try approach them as capacity allows. Yeah, it's sort of a nice too when we get time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shanti.
Yeah.
We move on to
You're gonna move from second.
I think we're all good there. Really or not. National Valley.
That's the last one.
Whatever. I don't know in a second there. And Peter, thank you. The 9.3. This quarter report from that. Attended the committee resolved to receive that report. So some discussion and then move that.
Okay, for the consensus quarterly report, October to December 2025, this report provides an update on performance and activities team for that period. During the quarter, 42 new applications were lodged. Only one application was returned as incomplete, 2 were withdrawn. So 58 decisions were granted, the vast majority being notified, besides certain variations in readiness to physical compliance. In terms of activity types, work was spread across land use, water permits and discharge permits, with discharge to land use activities continuing to make up a significant portion of the workload. A range of non-notified consents were granted during the quarter: domestic wastewater discharge, effluent discharges, gravel extraction, river works, mining activities, and infrastructure-related earthworks across the region. These were some of the report. For notified applications, one application related to Taylorville Resource Park was declined. one mining related application at Kawaka was granted following a hearing. There are no upcoming hearings currently scheduled, although there's one limited notified application for composting near Canary. It has attracted 30 submissions with hearings scheduled for late February. A significant focus this quarter has been the review of historic applications. Related to what Alan was talking about. That have been on hold in some cases for extended periods. To date, 127 applicants have been contacted, resulting in 94 applications being withdrawn. This work is helping to clean up the system, re-engage applicants where appropriate, and ensure resources are focused on active relevant applications. At present, there are 133 applications remaining in process, including a number of renewals potentially affected by recent central government changes extending expiry dates. So that was some legislation that's coming through as part of the transition with these changes to the RMA that has extended expiry dates on consents for another 2 years. And I just looked up on the database on, you've got 28 illegal mining applications in process. They're all on, they're either on hold waiting for further information or waiting for these affected parties being identified, and so the applicants are seeking written approval from them. Some of them are quite old.
You think that does answer the question? This list here that Chris suggested answer the question. It doesn't, it only covers 3 months. I'm looking for the 2-year period of the backlog.
So that's everything in process at the time of writing this report.
So if I could just comment, just for councillor's understanding, this backlog that Matt talks about, I think that the oldest one on the backlog is getting up to 15 or 20 years old. And they've been on hold, all these have been on hold all of that time, and we've just left them on hold. And if they don't come back, they don't come back, but they're still on hold in our system. Okay? So what we're doing now is proactively now going back to each one of those very aged consent applications that are on hold and we've never heard back from them, and saying, look, are you going to progress this, or would you like to discontinue the process? And what we're finding is most of the people have forgotten about it, don't want to do it anymore, and forgot that it's on the list, and just withdrawing it and with their application, and it's cleaning up the database.
74% of people contacted have rolled over and not used it. It's massive cleanup. Yeah. Well done to you and team.
Excuse me. With all due respect, Daryl, you're digressing a bit from the issue of the consents that are held up in the process over the last couple of years. That's the issue. The mining consents, because as I say, I'm getting a lot of feedback from the miners who held up. And it is a bit of it's quite an issue on the coast. You know, we've got a huge potential here. And I see this council as a blockage to economic development. So we need to move those mining consents on and get the miners out there and getting the gold out. Thank you. Colin?
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Birchfield and I have had this discussion as Chair, and we have talked about Councillor Birchfield providing us with a list of those consent holders who have an issue, so that our consents team can actually look at those specific applications where there is an issue. And so I'm hoping, Councillor Birchfield, that you provide us with that list as soon as possible.
Yes, I can, but you're expecting me to do your job. Really, you guys know the hold-ups, the list of the people that are held up. I'm only getting feedback from occasional people. You will have the master list of when the consents are applied for and how long it's taken and where they are in the system. Yeah. So why don't you give me that? Make my job easier.
We have reviewed those consents as part of the project. We've been going to make sure that holds are as they should be. And for most of these applications, we'll look into it certainly. But for most of the applications, we're waiting on information from the applicant, or we're waiting for the applicant to get written approval. So all appears to be, from the majority of these at least, in from my understanding of the system, that the board and the applicant's court rather than a hold up area. But I will make efforts to.
Thank you. You can help me with the job. Thank you.
Yeah, just further to what Chairman Smith said, we've heard pretty regularly that Mr. Councillor Birchall's getting lots of people get contacted in over these consent issues. And he just mentioned there is occasionally getting calls. I'd like a list too, because it's one or the other, well, it's not even. Because we could go on and say it every month, lots of people are ringing me. But, I'd keep a diary. I do keep a diary. This would be pretty, if it's only occasional, this would be one or two. If it's lots, this would be lots. I haven't yet to see that. So, I'd like the information too, please. Whoever the party is that provides, whether it's council, virtual or council, that's good. We can cross-reference.
That will actually solve the problem.
Colin?
Yes, and I'd just like to publicly acknowledge, Matt, your support and your people's support in terms of consenting issues. As a councillor that have come to me from the public, I've really appreciated the support of you in terms of helping resolve those issues. Thank you.
Questions? I will move in and second with it.
We're going through the rest of these consent issues. I've got a couple of questions on some of them.
Okay.
Okay. A couple that caught me eye. Page 44. Second from the top. Purpose of gravel extraction, Griffin Creek, Westone Limited. And you go over to page 47. Another one on the Turn Macau downstream of the highway drive, gravel extraction, Westone again. Does that indicate that the gravel extraction where they've got their game house site, is it not, can't be getting deposited there if they've got to truck it in back to the site? The hydraulic flow must have changed in the river then, because why would they be extracting gravel from Turn Macau, Griffin Creek? Griffin Creek may be the particular stone for a decorative purpose, I don't know. It says gravel. I'm just curious about why they're importing gravel to their side of Moto when supposedly they've got their extraction there. I just,
Maybe an economic reason, it might be because the Taramaka is closer to where they want to use it.
Yeah, we can make those assumptions, that's true, I agree. But I'd just like to know, because they have been trucking in gravel to that side. Parts. Furthermore on that, if Matt, if he could provide for me RC 2019, I'd like to jot it down.
So, Mr. Chairman, could we just be really, I want to come back to the first point. Is there an action there, Councillor Ewan, that you would like staff to undertake for you?
Well, is there a reason that it's taking the gravel, it's got two sides? We don't want to overpopulate the gravel extraction west of the Tuamaka Bridge. That's an issue that's been raised before.
What is the action? Sorry, what would you like staff to do?
Where are they taking it to? They must be processing it somewhere. So, well, we're not going to open up.
So you would like them to ring the company?
Well, it must be in their application.
Or and look at the application. Would you like to see the application?
Not that one in particular, no. I just like the, I've made a thing, if you could just completely request it so it doesn't get lost in the system again. RC 2019/0029.
Which is that one, right?
And the annexure to that too, of that same consent, please. Could you forward that to me? I'd like to have a look at it, please. It relates to Whitestone again.
Through the
Just,
that's an action point, is it?
I hope so, yeah.
Sure. You want to put it on
I don't think yet, what you think where you're going to use it.
The final one is page 48. I know it's gone through the resource consent hearing, but if temptation's there, temptation may be too tempting. I've asked the question before on the Taylor Resource Park Limited. The pike in the creek that has not been consented for discharges, has that been the functionality of that been ceased? Has it been removed? Has it been encased? Because if they go back and turn it onto the creek and we get the smells again, the temptation is always there to do that. Because they had their consent for disposing of water declined by the recent hearing commissioners. So is that illegal structure into that creek being removed, or is it dysfunction?
We have active monitoring on those, the stream downstream of the
I'm
weir.
not talking about the creek, I'm talking about the pipe.
Yeah. So there's a pipe coming down to the Notch Weir in that gully.
Yeah.
That may have been operated. And so we're monitoring equipment in the unnamed creek, I think it is downstream. And that's doing some water quality sampling as well as water level sampling.
So they are still using that sort of functionality of draining the pits.
And instrumentation in there to ensure that they're not
Well,
using.
why don't we remove the temptation? Because it was illegal in the first place.
So councillor, under the RMA, the breach in law that we would have to take action against is if they discharge. Right, so if they're not discharging, then we can't really do
But
anything.
have they not in the past discharged? We have evidence of that.
Yeah, and they're on an abatement notice to not do that anymore.
Seems to me the logical thing is to remove the temptation for the illegal discharge.
Thank you, councillor. The enforcement matters are not an issue for councillors to deal with. Thanks for your advice, but we have to adhere to the law and what we can do in the powers of the RMA. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it for me. Stick to the page. Thank you.
Items on that 9 point. Sorry?
No, moving in a second, the committee resolved to receive that report then. Please. Thank you, Colin.
Next one is the compliance.
Okay. Compliance monitoring quarterly report, the same period, October through to December. Purpose report provides committee with an overview of compliance monitoring and enforcement activity taken during the quarter, and assurance that compliance functions are being carried out in accordance with statutory requirements and council policy. During the reporting period, compliance staff undertook 97 site visits across the region. These covered resource consent monitoring, compliance and bond matters, dairy farming inspections, territorial authority monitoring, and investigations of complaints and incidents. A total of 23 complaints and incidents were recorded during the quarter, reflecting a broad range of activities, including mining, farming, industrial discharges, landfill operations, and residential issues. There were 7 confirmed non-compliances identified during this period, and 1 matter still under investigation. Where non-compliance was established, responses were proportionate and risk-based, including enforcement action where appropriate. Educational corrective approaches where effects were minor and readily remedied. Key observations here are mining and extractive activities continue to feature predominantly in both routine monitoring and complaint-driven investigations, particularly in relation to sediment control and disturbance of waterways. Agricultural activities, including dairy farming and earthworks, remain a monitoring focus area with inspections identifying both compliance and isolated breaches of consent conditions. Industrial and trade activities, including fuel spills, dust, smoke, and odour issues, were generally small scale and addressed promptly, often through self-notification and corrective action. A significant proportion of complaints investigated were ultimately found to be compliant or unsubstantiated, indicating effective triage and follow-up processes. During the quarter, the council received 11 mining work programs, most of which have been processed or progressing, some requiring further information on site visits. Several bond releases are recommended, reflecting successful completion of final restoration works that have been assessed by compliance staff as meeting consent requirements. New bonds also received, ensuring appropriate financial assurance for ongoing future mining activities.
Yes, Matt, do you have any information on where compliance complaints are trending and over time, And are there industry, and can you trend compliance issues on an industry basis? Because that would be quite helpful as a councillor to see where the trends are.
Sure. We have not done that analysis, but yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Can I just add, and this was before Matt's time, it was reported last triennium that the amount of pollution hotline complaints has risen dramatically over the years, not just in West Coast, but nationally. So people are much more vigilant and complaining, but at the same time, a greater proportion of those pollution hotline complaints are not well founded. And so that's had to lead all the compliance teams around the country to exercise greater discretion around the triaging of those and not go and investigate every single one, especially if the information we've got is not well substantiated, sparse or well founded, or seems to indicate not a significant issue. So, but the general trend across the country is for far more complaints to come. Yeah. What I would say nationally is, compared to say even 10 or 20 years ago, the dairy farm sector and compliance there is significantly better than it has been in its historical past. And that's very welcome because that was dominating the compliance activities of the dairy regions right around New Zealand. I think from my experience, I think it's pretty even spread over all the different classes of dam divert discharges, across the different activity classes over and above that.
Thank you.
So I've just got one question. It's on page 64, Matt. So Berlin's, which is heating mining, that's now, is that handed back to what dock, that mean? And was that all?
Sorry,
Oh, zeros are down below. Right over there. That's the one.
Specsavers.
Okay, Specsavers. I was going to say, right, as you were. That is all back and really.
It went back to dock.
No, I understand it's front, but it's the muffler pens up there.
Oh, Melbourne.
Oh, where?
Yeah.
It's not like most of the heating lights on.
$30.
Mr. Chairman, have a question for the chair. Page 54, please. Activities. The second one from the middle, notification of an ocean exposing an old dump at Ross. Well, what's the seriousness of that, and do we know where the dump's from, the era or the material in it? Should give us a bit of a steer how old it is. And given issues like this that are happening on rivers and the Cobden ones, the Fox one, Granity one, is this another one that's going to cause a monumental monetary problem to fix?
We carted a dump from Ross to Hokitika, I think, last time.
This is another one, is it? Is there any information on it historically?
I don't have the details on that one, but I can get them for you. You look at it as action.
Is it minor or serious? Do you know that, Peter?
I'm not on this one, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that, please. Through the chair, Matt, just bouncing back to the bond question earlier, the recommendation for these to be released, I assume that's recommending to the CEO to use his discretion to do that because we don't have an action on the report to.
Yeah, look, Joe's just raised that with me, and Joe's correct. I wonder if there isn't a recommendation here, but I wonder if we could put one on the table for you, Mr. Chairman, authorising staff to release those bonds based on the information we received.
So for clarity, the process normally would be a motion at the table.
Yeah. So add that as another. No, could you put that as a motion?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a three, isn't it? Four. Yeah, four, sorry.
We actually do need to have an official council. Motion.
Return the
To
bonds.
return the bonds tax.
On,
That's correct. It used to be done separately.
Yeah.
We voted on it separately to return the bonds. Correct.
as long as the
I'll just,
conditions have been satisfied.
And we're saying.
Based on the
they
recommendation.
are.
They are, okay. Good.
That's.
I'd just like to.
Ashley,
comment to that.
is that right? Happy to, yeah. We must move it now. Ashley, move it that and second. Alan seconded it.
I'd just like to comment on what Daryl said earlier. I fully agree with them. The complaints that are coming in now, you read it, there's pages and pages of it. I think we're becoming a nation of whingers and complainers. It's a general comment that no matter where anyone goes to do anything, there'll be somebody who will be complaining. I'd just like to comment, and that's showing up in here. It's, the nation's going downhill if we carry on with this mindset. We should be encouraging people to get out and do things and create wealth and jobs and keep our young people in the country rather than go. Because the wealth of the country is its young people. We should be encouraging them. And this council should play its part as well in getting the consents process and getting people out there, creating wealth. Thank you, Alan.
Is there, question to you, Matt, is there a need, in your view, for education around the complaints issue, or is there some way that when a complaint is received and not well founded, how do you address it back to the person who complains?
That's reported back, and at the time of the complaint, if possible, we'll try and follow up and try and get detail to make sure that we don't have a huge team covering quite a large area, so we're going through that triage process.
Would there be, through the chair, sorry, would there be a deterrent for a complainant to be charged if they're just complaining for the sake of complaining?
We do keep records of where complaints are not anonymous. Those records.
I know, but I mean, if you charge someone and they're notified to say, well,
I'm sorry, councillor, there's no basis in law at all to charge.
you have your own, or Daryl?
Negative vexatious is one, that's the law.
Just another comment. There's almost a mass exodus of people out of New Zealand, and this is one of the contributing. Stay here, go into business, especially the young people. It's just as easy to get a plane fare out and go to Australia and earn some big money after we've educated them. So, thank you.
Any more discussion on this report? No, we're second is subject to that recommendation of Ashley's and Alan's about the report. The motion is recommended that Patty approve the regional council staff to release mining bonds as detailed in the compliance quarterly report.
Happy to move that.
That was moved by Ashley and seconded by Alan. All those in favour?
Mr. Chairman, just a point, my action point on the information about the Ross dump will be forthcoming without making it an action point.
Yep, certainly.
Or an action point, because we haven't got it as an action point. So
I've got it, action point.
Those in favour?
Aye.
Now, we might break for lunch because it's arrived and it's 12 o'clock. This is Regulations 2025 to receive a letter from the RTC to NZTA, RT submission on proposed heavy vehicle reforms. And Matt's got some recommendations that we'll need to discuss. To resolve the report, confirm whether the committee wishes to make submissions on the planning bill, natural environment bill, and related legislative reforms, and note that doing so will require an out of cycle extraordinary meeting of the Environment Management Committee. And finally, number 3, approve the Regional Council submitting on the proposed total mobility report. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, so the report provides an update on policy and planning work program, upcoming legislative reforms and small number of decisions. In terms of current work program priorities, staff are progressing on 3 main areas. Work has begun on the regional pest management plan review. Although the plan is not due for replacement until 2028, feedback from landowners, particularly farmers, has highlighted a gap surrounding animal pests. Staff are proposing to address this early and are aiming to bring a draft discussion document to the committee in April. Staff are also drafting a bond policy for mining rehabilitation. This will establish a consistent risk-based framework for setting bonds for small-scale activities and renewing large rehabilitation bonds. The intent is to improve consistency, transparency, and risk management. This policy is also scheduled for April consideration. Third major focus is planning bill and natural environment bill, both of which have passed their first reading and now for the Environment Select Committee, with submissions closing on the 13th of February. These bills represent a significant shift in the resource management system. Planning bill introduces mandatory regional spatial combined planning instruments with stronger national direction and reduced local discretion. The natural environment bill introduces a system based on environmental limits across freshwater, biodiversity, soil, air, and coastal environments, and narrows the consent regime to activities with more than minor effects, with more restrictive notification provisions. The Regional Council sector body, DUK, is preparing submissions on these bills. Draft submissions will be circulated to the committee once received, and they have come through on Friday. The committee is asked to confirm whether it wishes to submit, noting that doing so would require an out-of-cycle committee meeting due to the submission deadline. Turning to wastewater, new national wastewater environment performance standards came into force on the 9th of December. These apply to public wastewater networks only and introduce nationally consistent monitoring, reporting, and upgrade pathways. While some provisions, particularly those relating to overflow do not apply until 2028, standards will have significant implications for future consenting and compliance expectations. There have also been recent changes to national direction instruments, including new amended NPS covering natural hazards, infrastructure, renewable electricity generation, and highly productive land. These are the direction of the new proposed planning system. And on transport matters, the government has proposed reforms to total mobility scheme, including change funding and fare caps. Staff recommend that council submit these proposals. Other transport updates are provided for information only, as they will sit with the Regional Transport Committee. So in summary, we need to work out if the committee would like to submit on the Planning and Natural Environments Bill, and we're seeking to see approval to make a submission on proposed total mobility reforms.
Thank you. This I'm all open for discussion.
Thanks, Chris. Matt, just in terms of the submission on the planning bill and the natural environment bill, it's too early yet to assess whether the submission to be made by Chair Ika is one that we would support or not. Is that right?
Staff looking at it. I haven't been updated with any conclusions on that. But it looks to form a good strong basis for submission. But it just depends on whether we want to add to their submission or not.
So you're not in a position yet to advise council here as to whether you recommend that it should proceed with its own submission or not at this stage.
Sorry, I can't.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if I could comment. I think the way I think about this one is firstly for councillors to answer the question, do you want to submit on the 2 new bills, yes or no? And then the second question then becomes, is the regional sector submission that's been developed by a team of regional council staff from across the country suitable to represent, with or without an amendment, the West Coast Regional Council submission. So I think about it in that two-step decision-making way. Thanks.
Thanks, Darryl.
Yeah, I agree, and I would like council, without any further discussion, to make a submission on the changes to the total mobility scheme from government, because that's probably going to be a drop in funding going on the MO of the present cutbacks across the board. So I think it's very important because we have no public transport. People rely on that mobility subsidy. So we should make one on that.
I think we end up a little bit of collateral damage by not having a public transport system here. That's we virtually rely on subsidising taxis is what it boils down to. So the caps lowering is actually affects us unduly.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment through the chair.
And then finally, on one of the ones I had was on PTP, the extension. Submission was closed on 2nd of February. Too late, aren't we? Did we make any submissions?
That was for the extension for 274 parties. So the submission.
Yeah. We didn't make any submission.
So Mr. Chairman, the purpose of that portion of the report is not as us as a submitter, it's us administering the process of the TTPP as the regulatory entity. Yeah. And I can confirm that we now have full visibility over all appeals, 36 of them, and the adjoining parties that adjoin those appeals, which in the RMA is called 274 parties that adjoin those appeals. But obviously that's governed by the joint committee.
Peter?
On the TPP, then the cost, have we full visibility on the potential cost of that?
Yes. We are working up a revision of cost estimates around where we think the costs are going to go to the end of this year as a reforecast, now that we are aware of those appeals and 274s and projecting out over the next year. And because while this council doesn't govern the TTPP process, but it does pay the bill, that financial advice and budgeting needs to come here as well.
Just on that note, it's a bill that we haven't really addressed to pay back yet, so we're going to have to get cracking sooner or later. It's going to get bigger.
Okay, no further discussion?
Sorry. Sure, thank you. I'm just skipping back to page 67, the planning and natural environment bills, where Tahika have a preparing submission on these bills, which we will no doubt get to see. I'd like to see the council submit our own as well, and particularly highlighting the highlights really, which is the FMU process, freshwater management unit processes, and the mana Aotearoa in the freshwater management space. That's just an example.
Okay, amendment or motion?
I'd like to consider making submissions to these bills.
Seconded for that?
The recommendation is to confirm whether the committee wishes to make submissions. We just need to change it.
Okay. It was pointed out that confirm whether or not, item number 2 was to confirm whether the committee wishes to make submissions. We're going to change that to confirm that the committee does wish to make submissions.
Yes, please.
Jackie moved that, and then seconded. So, who's the ready?
Yeah, I just, thank you, Chair, just at the point that Darryl made earlier, in terms of the two-step process, like if the submissions are being put together by Tiru Kahika, cover the issues that we as a council see, would it not be a better use of resources to support that submission rather than draft our own submission in addition? Is that what you're saying?
Chairman, I can comment, and staff are well practiced at this, and we've been doing this way for about the last couple of years now. So where the Te Uru Kahika submission fairly represents the views of the West Coast Regional Council, all we do is we write back to Te Uru Kahika saying West Coast Regional Council endorses your submission, and please put our name to it along with any other regional councils from the regional sector. Job done.
Yes.
Where we think in some areas it doesn't, we need to present some very specific West Coast things. We will still support the Te Uru Kahika submission, but note that some additional points that reflect the environment and the communities of the West Coast are specifically submitted on as an addendum. The third case is where the Te Uru Kahika submission just doesn't even represent us and is totally not fit for purpose for the West Coast, and we do our own. I have yet to strike that in the last 2 years. It's usually option 1 or option 2 that I've outlined that we do. I would note, though, councillors, that submission is due into the government on the 13th of February, so we're going to have to get into the diary an extraordinary meeting with a quorum on that to consider that and adopt it, and papers need to come out really urgently. We've only just received the Te Uru Kahika submission yesterday, which was a bit late, but that's right. But flagging to you, you need to watch the diaries about that, and I wonder if Joe has any comment on that at all.
Just to note that exactly as you said, it's a very short turnaround time, so we will have to try and come up with a date.
If we find that Jackie's FMU concern is covered by that, then we will need to have an extraordinary meeting. We could just go with the Ruin.
No, in process, I think it can just be online. You don't have to all travel here. It can just be an online meeting. We need a quorum. But what we do need to know is that you support the Te Uru Kahika submission in its entirety, because your name as the West Coast Regional Council is going on it to the government. So you need to pass a motion passing that. Yeah. Joe?
Apologies, Mr. Chair, I do note that we've got a workshop on the 12th anyway, so it may be that we can put in a quick meeting on the 12th that would just impact on Jackie.
Thank you.
You feel like meeting in that as well?
Well, I'm happy about that because that's how we've dealt with it basically over the last 14 years. The Uru Kahika have always been reasonably well aligned with our thinking, which is very helpful. And then when we can add things on, as Darryl explained, that makes it even better for us. Sure.
So that gives you enough time on the 12th, and you say it's going to be submitted on the 13th, is that correct? So that would,
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We've got that recommendation from moved by Jackie and seconded by Mark, and we're going to confirm that the committee will wish to make submissions on the planning. etc. All in favour? Aye. Carries. Against? Carry. Matt, in the hot seat again on the District Council wastewater treatment plants report. Copy of the letter sent to the TAs and summary of the comments. We're recommending that the committee results will receive the report, notice regional council efforts to collaborate with district councils, achieve these comprehensive action plans to mitigate regular non-compliance issues. And 3, endorse the regional council compliance staff commencing an audit of all contractors involved in monitoring wastewater treatment plant discharges in respect to compliance limits. Number 4, note that the staff is feeling appropriate enforcement actions where necessary when the array of non-compliance elements in individual field. Note that consent reviews initiated by regional council may be used to review consent conditions where necessary. And finally, note that consent variations can be sought by the district councils to improve consent conditions to ensure that they are workable and practical. I think the discussion there will have a move in a second. All right.
Sorry, no, you're right.
Discussion you have a move in a second. Recommendations.
This report provides the committee with an overview of the current compliance performance of district council wastewater treatment plants across the West Coast and outlines the actions underway to address identified issues. Over the past 18 months, the regional council has been working closely with all 3 district councils in response to ongoing non-compliance in a number of wastewater treatment plants.
Yeah.
To support this work, compliance assessments have been completed for 15 treatment plants across Buller, Grey, and Wilson districts. This has been a desktop review based on consent requirements, monitoring data, reports, and engagement with council staff, and is intended to establish a baseline for future improvement. Overall, the picture is mixed. Some plants are broadly compliant or have low risk or technical non-compliance. Others show moderate to significant non-compliance, particularly where there are prolonged overflows, inadequate monitoring, delayed or missing reporting, or repeated breaches of microbial clarity limits. In a small number of cases, there is potential for significant environmental or public health effects, particularly at sites discharging to public contact recreation areas. Each district council is now provided or is developing district-wide action plans to address this issue. All the district council is preparing a comprehensive action plan covering all of its wastewater treatment plants, following the earlier work that Grey District Council has submitted a district-wide action plan, which is currently being refined following feedback from regional council staff. Western District Council has submitted an action plan and has also sought an interim consenting pathway for Hokitika while the replacement plant is commissioned. Regional council staff are actively working with each council to ensure these action plans are realistic, prioritised, and capable of delivering meaningful compliance improvements over time. It's important to note that many of these systems are operating under older consents, some relying on Section 124, which means they can continue under their old conditions. The legislative changes now limit how long that reliance can continue, which increases the urgency for councils to progress upgrades and replacement consents. In terms of next steps, staff will continue to work collaboratively with district councils to finalise and implement action plans. When necessary, abatement notices and other enforcement tools will be used to ensure progress is made within agreed timeframes. Staff are also considering targeted audits of monitoring contractors and, where appropriate, consent reviews or variations to ensure consent conditions are workable and effective. In summary, this report provides a snapshot on the current state of wastewater compliance across the region, based on desktop analysis of self-reported data from the district council. There's a couple of addendums in here. Tallies was spelt wrong, as pointed out by Buller District Council. And we have updated the record of conversations had. That was actually more just to set the scene for background to show that there has been engagement from councils.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if I could also provide some comment here. So I have been regularly engaging directly with my counterpart chief executives and their predecessors for over 18 months on this matter, and have clear records of bringing that up consistently and repeatedly in terms of urging compliance with resource consents, particularly the wastewater plants. I want to stress also that the data that has been used in this report is the district council's own data. So what happens in a lot of other councils is the regional council does independent auditing by taking their own samples of discharges. We have not done that. We've relied on self-reported data. So the breaches that have been highlighted in this report, the breaches that have been highlighted by their own district council staff in the data to us through self-reporting. So no new data from us has been collected. It's their data. So that should not be a surprise to their councils, given it's their data. The next and last comment I want to make is that as far as we can make out, this is the first time in the history of the regional council that we've had a comprehensive compliance review of the wastewater discharge consents from the district councils. They do represent some of the largest point source discharges in the region, and it's the first time we've reviewed their compliance performance. Up to this point, we have relied on a high trust model that robust consent processes have been gone through, often with independent panels, and that the district councils will comply with their resource consents. This report shows that that high trust model probably is not vindicated, and we may need to keep following. We will need to keep following up here, given the degree of non-compliance that we're finding. Having said that, I do want to acknowledge absolutely, particularly with Grey District Council, the very good working relationship that we've now developed with the Chief Executive and their staff, and indeed the other two. But I really want to acknowledge Grey, particularly in terms of the willingness and openness that they've entered into communications and cooperation with us on this matter. So we will continue to work collaboratively on this with the three district councils, and I do that directly with the chief executives, but also at a lower staff level inside their organisations. Finally, the last point I want to make is under delegation that council gives me, and also under Auditor General advice to all councillors, including regional councillors, it is important that that any enforcement of any nature, and that could just be a simple warning, could be an abatement notice, it could be a higher level enforcement, that delegation and decision making sits with me, and councillors are reminded that you must refrain from trying to influence that process in terms of the compliance outcome, to have clear separation under the Auditor General's rules. That doesn't mean to say that you're not able to comment on what you're reading here in this report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, it's open for discussion. Peter?
Okay, yeah, I've got a few things to say on this, and I think we've been overly generous too, and I appreciate where you're coming from. This has been going on for a lot longer than 18 months. When you've got non-compliance, no reporting, no monitoring, no indications, sometimes going back 8 years on some of these sites. Now, these conditions of consent are mandatory, they're not optional, but they seem to be optional to these parties. You know, I just wonder where we're going with the government. I hope they're looking, because non-compliant parties running a new entity on mandatory matters that are failing to be consistently followed, that's going to meet some real traffic blocks going forward, because if wastewater rules just changed several weeks ago, they can't comply with them, we've got new ones on the way, doesn't bode well for a future entity, whether it's a single body or a split of our functions to the others. And I'm concerned about that. It's all very well saying we've been engaging with them, and their data is their data. But in most cases, there is no data, because they haven't done it for 8 years. So that's a misnomer in itself. And, you know, there's a lot of cross issues here with our wastewater standards and issues of it. And I know intimately, for example, the Hokitika waste one, just at Hokitika. I was a hearing commissioner in the 2006-ish with Ross Scarlett and Doc appointed Robin Delamore, I think his name was. And that was the first extension of the consent. Well, we're going for our fourth one now, And every extension seems to go past the next election. So it's someone else to make a decision. And then it happens again, just about every time. And that's just a pattern that is obvious to me, because no one really wants to bite the bullet on. And now they had an opportunity a few years ago for this particular one, under 4 million to join in with the milk treatment fund. They flagged it for some reason. Now they're not going to get much change out of 25, 30 million a few years later. And the issue is not going to go away because they've ignored it. They're going to have to face it because these changes will be demanded by Wellington. And the thing that really worries me is the other one. I'm not picking on Westland, but the two big ones is the Fran situation. We've got the ponds there that are non-compliant routinely, and we have endeavoured over many months, and it's mentioned here previously that we go down. Community wants to have a meet with us. Stop that, we go down. A lot of our staff time, a lot of our time, try and resolve things. But what concerns me is where the work's really done in the engine room is around the council table at Hokitika. Now, a letter went off to the Hokitika Westland Council on August 22nd last year from the then chair, Peter Haddock. And it was passed in the olive branch to we're here to help. There's been a bit of friction previously, but it was a real olive branch letter. We're here to help on the wastewater thing down at Fran's. Our staff are there, our engineering capacity. And to this day, there's not even been an acknowledgement courtesy of a response to that letter that was sent to all councillors as well as the mayor. That's very disappointing from a professional point of view, because it should have been, you know, the snow could have been gone down and back by now if he had the letter in his back pocket. You know, I find that astonishing that for such a major issue that no other town or council in the country is facing the issue of that river on steroids. There's been no acknowledgements for 7 months of that generous offer to help, to assist. Now, if they think when the new local body comes, it changes, the unitary body's going to fix it, we're gone by lunchtime, well, they're going to have some hot potatoes by dinner time the next day because they've ignored the whole issue, not even the courtesy of a response. Now, if we'd done that, we'd be crucified. We've kept quiet. We was forever hopeful that we were going to get an acknowledgement and we would be able to join hands and solve an issue or address it. We have not. That's not our doing. What else do we do? You know, we've done everything we can to try and get that communication going. And it's very disappointing from a West Coast point of view, because that's not the way we do it here. We shouldn't be doing it like that. We should be communicating. Now, you know, for the life of me, you know, I'm really concerned about the future going forward, because if we have that enmity with us because there's no response and we're trying to help, I just can't understand it. It can't be an oversight, put it that way. It can't be an oversight. Just a couple more things. With these monitoring things, the annual monitoring reports that have been on file since 2018, they're the last ones, 8 years ago. None of them from the Grey, Westland. I don't know so much about the bullet situation, but they are mandatory. They're not optional, and they are professional staff. They should know that. And if they want to be in charge after they want us gone by tomorrow, well, they want to pull their socks up and be a bit more professional about it, because the government will lap that up and they'll be gone too. And we will have a commissioner. And there's strong grounds now for a commissioner to be appointed on this. That's my view. That's my opinion. So there you go.
Just a point of clarification, Matt, the action plans you have received, were they as a result of the letter sent to this council to the district councils? So have those action plans come subsequent to the letter raising this issue from our council?
That is correct.
So
I mean, there are improvement plans in place by a number of the district councils. Right, to be great. But I guess formalising of those processes due to that is written by.
So in terms of those action plans, are you on behalf of the council as regulator, are you satisfied that the action plans are appropriate in terms of addressing the compliance issues?
That's what we're working through with the district councils as they stand. So there are a number of draft action plans, and we're still waiting for everyone to come and pull up, because it only covers some of their wastewater treatment plants. And then we'll be going from that to make sure it's workable at the best, that brings time frames.
Perhaps if I could assist by just taking through the course of events. We had a very preliminary look about 18 months ago at some of the self-reported data and saw that there were issues. I invited each of the three chief executives of the district councils to understand their situation and, where necessary, submit an action plan to tell the regional council what they were going to do about those issues, but really analyse the whole lot themselves and give us an action plan. And what I wanted in the action plan was some assurity that if there was a problem in non-compliance, what did they have the resources and the funding, and was that allocated in the LTPs to actually address the issue? Because if there's no resources or funding and it needed it, and it's not the LTP, well, they've got a problem, right? So then subsequent to that letter going off and waiting on the action plans, staff at the regional council did their own analysis of the self-reported data in a very comprehensive way, and probably more comprehensive than what I've seen from the three districts. We're now at the point where what we need to do is take that analysis that's in this paper and make sure that the action plans and the actions within them reflect the non-compliance and what they're going to do about it, or not, as the case may be, and enter into another round of discussions with the three districts. I would note, though, that after this time, the Buller District Council has only submitted an action plan for Westport and not the rest of its wastewater plants.
Just to the chair, just for clarity here, we're talking of two different letters too, because the one Mr. Haddock sent August last year is different to the one you're referring to here. So there are two different letters. And, you know, and my final comment on it, I just can't reconcile how we can pull up the gold miner or the farmer for non-adherence to consents, but some of these ones have gone on for years, and we can hang the mouse. You know what I mean? I just can't reconcile it, because it shouldn't be that way. Should be no favours to fellow councils who know the rules, who know they are the actors of the legislation. But, you know, we get criticised because of dirty water one day when there's not a flood, and they get pinged, whoever it's a farmer or a miner. That's, you know, it grates me.
Just a question, the non-compliance, does that relate to the non-separation of stormwater and sewage in Grey and Westport?
That is a contributing factor, and it was covered off from the environmental science report as well. So like Sawyer's Creek elevated bacteria is attributed to the fact that there's still combined outfalls.
And Westport, same thing? Yeah, well, realistically, in our lifetime, that's never going to be solved, is it? Like, it's a huge job to separate the water and sewage in Greymouth. I think was there 1,000 households or something? So
I understand in Westport that they are now separating the stormwater and sewer pipelines, so that only sewer pipelines go to on the crossing.
But how?
It's only just started.
That's right. So it's a long way from compliance. But we'll never see it.
Mr. Chairman, if I could comment please on that. This report deals with predominantly the issue of consented non-compliance. So the non-compliance of their wastewater plants, so not the issue that you're talking about. The report, however, does point to unconsented compliance with illegal cross connections of sewer into stormwater and out through the creeks. So there is two different things going on, but what I'm really focusing on here and in this report is the compliance with consent conditions, not the cross connections, but the report does highlight that that's still an issue. And can I also say that both Gray and Buller are both as councils committing to a program of addressing that over time. And yes, it's not going to be a quick fix, but the program has started.
Yeah.
Through the chair, Darryl, I think you've probably just been answered that, but is there a time frame you've got on that?
We are wanting to sit down with each of the three councils individually again and try and agree some timeframes against some actions that we can mutually agree. If we can't mutually agree, then we may have to nominate some timeframes that they have to do it over.
I just like to record my support for the direction that the operational team are taking in terms of this matter. There are obviously significant issues here from what I'm hearing as a councillor. This council has encouraged the district councils to look at this issue, to provide action plans, and now this council can follow up on those action plans. So this is a process, as I understand it, of the councils working together to resolve the issues. And certainly as a councillor, that, in my experience, is probably the most productive way of resolving issues, is working with parties, non-compliant parties, to address the issue as a first step. So I'm extremely comfortable with the approach that the team's taking.
I'll just be voting against it on a couple of grounds. One, on your staff enforcement actions. This is a very hot point with the government. One council prosecuting another. And I also don't agree on 25 that the Franz Joseph ponds are vulnerable. So I'll be voting against this on those two grounds. I don't share the council's concern over the Franz Joseph pond. Thank you.
Discussion? We've got the motion then. You recommend those 4 recommendations? Can I move it? 6 recommendations. Can I move it in a second?
Move it, Mr. Chairman, happy to.
Second.
One against. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Or against?
Please record my vote against. Thank you.
Next item is a public excluded one, and it's regarding reappointment of some people. So we recommend that the public be excluded from the appointment of these next proceedings on the basis of
I'm going to vote against this. We should move all our public excluded to the end of the meeting instead of having all the come and go.
I think this is the one.
This is the one.
This one.
No, we got, council meeting, end of both meetings. Should have the public excluded right at the end of both the meetings.
Is you comfortable with that? No. So the reason for that is because this is a matter of consideration for this committee, and if we hold it over to the end of council, that doesn't allow Jackie to take part and Jackie the member. So that's why we do that.
Good. So there's a recommendation the public excluded from the following most of this proceeding. Move on to the second, please.
Second.
Vote me against, please.
Following, we're back in public, the following recommendations were passed in the public excluded meeting. We wanted to appoint an independent commissioner for a pending of a limited notified hearing resource consent number 2024/0136. And another recommendation, second recommendation, was to appoint an independent commissioner for a pending of a limited notified hearing for resource consent 2024-0136. Further details on these commissioners can be released once the parties have been notified of their appointment. That's it. The meeting.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, and those online. Just reading the affirmation for this meeting: seek knowledge for understanding, have purpose in all that you do, stand tall, be strong, let us show respect for each other. Okay, apologies? Any apologies? No apologies? Declarations of interest?
Through the chair, I've got a declaration of interest on the public excluded.
Thank you, Councillor McIntyre. Thank you, Councillor McIntyre. Forum, public forum, petitions and deputations, none. Late items? No. Okay, confirmation of minutes, council minutes for the 2nd of December 2025. It is recommended that council resolves to confirm that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 2nd of December 2025 are a true and correct record. Do I have a mover? Thanks, Peter. Seconder. Thanks, Andy. All in favour? Aye. Against? Motion carried. Action. Yes, thanks, Councillor Birchfield. That's the next one. The action list. No public actions. Matters arising.
Matters arising is general business.
Right. Okay. Okay. So there are no public action lists items for this meeting, so we move on to Chair's report. But look, this being the first council meeting, I welcome you all back to this table. The very, very important table we occupy on behalf of our region. I trust you've all had a relaxing and enjoyable break and now are re-energised, as I am, take on the challenges that 2026 will no doubt bring to us all. I look forward to working with you all throughout 2026 as we work to ensure we achieve the best outcomes possible for our region from the work that crosses this table of ours. There are going to be some significant strategic issues for us to grapple with this year, which I'm looking forward to, and I hope you are all looking forward to as well. So on that note, it is recommended the council resolves to receive the chair's report. Do I have a mover?
Yeah, I'll move. Happy to move that, Chair.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Ash. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Okay, amendments to the committee terms of reference. Jo.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. The purpose of this paper is to make some amendments to the terms of reference. The first point is that we had it recommended from the independent chair of the Risk and Assurance Committee that we seek an alternative councillor be the chairperson of the Remuneration and Employment Committee. This is so to acknowledge that Chair Smith will, by design, have a closer working relationship with Daryl as the Chief Executive. So by placing a different councillor on the chair of the Remuneration and Employment Committee, it allows a little bit of separation between the employer and the employee in this instance. So the recommendation for that is that Ashley Casson will replace
Councillor Smith as the chair of the Remuneration and Employment Committee. And while we were changing some terms of reference, we've grabbed the opportunity to make some minor changes to the risk and assurance terms of reference, and it's really just to remove some double ups that we had realised were in the writing of that. There's some information in there twice. So as you can see, we've crossed out some areas in the terms of reference in your attachment that we're seeking to remove. The final thing I just want to point out is that the decisions that you make here will roll on into implications for the governance statement, which is the next item, just so you're aware. Thank you.
Ms. Joe, any questions from councillors? Okay.
Oh, just we didn't do matters arising.
No, I'm advised that matters are arising essentially in the nature of general business, which is excluded.
Matters arising from your report?
Oh, matters arising from my report.
Last month's report. You notice I voted against it. You should note I voted against your report in the reference to, you seem to be attempting to restrict what can and can't be discussed in the council meetings. I've noticed with the restricting general business, and I think it's a bad lead from the chairman to begin to restrict what councillors can and can't talk about. The government has put quite a bit of effort and money in putting democracy reporters into these meetings to report to the public. And I'm very concerned about your leadership trying to restrict councils to what they can and can't say. So I just want that recorded.
Thank you, Councillor Birchfield, and I'd just like to say that in response that the steps I am taking as chair are in accordance with good governance, what is generally known as good governance right throughout New Zealand on any governance body. And one thing we as a council should always be working towards, as our team do, is to improve the way we undertake our role. And so the steps that I have been recommending and have been supported by the balance of councillors around this table have been to improve governance. I've heard what you've said and noted. Thank you. So we'll move to the recommendations. So it is recommended that council resolve to 1, receive the report, 2, approve the amendments to the terms of reference of the West Coast Regional Council committees as follows. A, Councillor Ashley Cashin will replace Councillor Colin Smith as chair of the Remuneration and Employment Committee. Councillor Smith will remain a member of this committee. B, update the terms of reference of the Risk and Assurance Committee as per attachment 1. 3, note, subject to approval of recommendation 2, these recommendations will be reflected in updated terms of reference for council committees, the governance statement 2025 and the delegations manual.
Happy to move that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McIntyre. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Cole. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Okay, governance statement 2025. Joe.
Thank you. I think this is just about the last thing that we have to do as a requirement in a new triennium.
Sure.
So, never quite sure. So this is an updated version of the governance statement, which we are required to prepare under Section 40 of the Local Government Act. It has a big long list of things that we are required to capture in the governance statement, and I have provided you a copy of that for your review. So we are requesting that you will approve this, noting the decisions you've just made previously. We will update the governance statement to reflect that, and then once it's approved, it will be placed on the internet, on the website.
Excuse me, there needs to be a correction. The email address is incorrect.
Thank you.
For me.
Thank you, councillor. I will see you to get your correct email address.
And just can I ask all councillors that if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand and ask and wait for the chair to respond. Again, it's a good governance practice that I know it hasn't been one that's been followed in the past, but it's part of us improving our good governance as we go forward. So please raise your hand and I will respond as chair. Thank you. Joe.
Apologies, councillor Smith. I just want to note to councillor Birchfield that we have you down as using a West Coast Regional Council email address. We will only be putting those email addresses into this statement because that is how we utilise all of our correspondence with you so that it is easily captured through local government official information requests if required. Thank you.
Any further questions? Ashley?
Joe, there's no other changes from the last round update other than what we just voted on 5 minutes ago?
I can't confirm that. I haven't gone through and done a full track changes. This has more been an update and a tidy up of that.
Cool. Any further questions? All right, the recommendation, it is recommended that council resolve to approve the governance statement for 2025, noting any approved amendments to the council committee terms of reference and membership, in brackets refer item 9.1 of the agenda, will be reflected in the governance statement prior to application. Do I have a mover? Thanks, Alan. Seconder? Peter, thanks. All in favour? Against, motion carried. Okay, 9.3, risk pool. Proposed amendments to the trustee column.
Okay, I'll do a bit overview and then we've got points online. We'll take this with the point for the key points with the paper. The paper we've got here is for the risk pool, which really relates to insurance and previous insurance. And within the paper, to give a bit of background, which was established in 1987, and they're very much one of the process of looking at why it gone, that entity in itself. However, before they can do that, they need to resolve outstanding matters that are resolved. Chantal, let's probably hand over to you now if there's anything will you put the paper together that you feel will add benefit to councillors?
Good afternoon, councillors. It's nice to be here. So I will take the paper as read. The main gist is that the current trust deed is no longer fit for purpose, given that risk pool is in wind-up stage. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Questions, councillors?
No question. You gone? Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, actually, sorry.
Sorry, Chantal. Just wanted some clarification. There's no added cost and no added risk to our organisation from any of these changes?
No, the changes are more to protect the directors of the company who are assisting with the wind-up, as the original trust deed wasn't envisaged to cover this, and as we all know, there are statutory requirements over directors which puts them personally liable, which these people weren't in their seats at the time that the wind-up started, but they're helping everybody fix what's left.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, thanks, Paul. The recommendation, it is recommended that council resolve to 1, receive the report, 2, note the purpose and effect of the proposed amendments as outlined in this report and attachments, 3, approve West Coast Regional Council consenting to the amendments to the risk pool trust deed as soon as set out in the attached letter dated the 25th of August 2025, 4, authorise the Chief Executive to sign and return the attached consent form on behalf of the council. Do I have a mover? Thanks, Ash. Seconder? Thanks, Mark. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Okay, move to public excluded.
Oh, we're moving to.
Thank you, councillor McIntyre.
Well, these years, so don't get any walkers.
May I ask to remain in the meeting, given this is to do with Organs Island and crossover with the Westport Flood Protection Scheme?
Okay, that's on, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, yeah.
If you can, Chantal, that'd be great.
So just noting the confidential nature of the paper, thanks.
Yeah, so as a chartered accountant, I'm bound by higher codes of conduct and ethics than an ordinary member of the public, but thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation that the public be excluded from the following parts of the proceedings of this meeting, namely agenda items 11 to 13 inclusive.
Movement. Thanks, Chris. Second that.
Okay. There being no further business, I declare this meeting closed, and it's closed at 1:57 p.m. Thank you, councillors.